Hey, everybody, welcome. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult. We have lots of culty things to talk about in our culty recap today, including Scientology caught wasting resources. Big surprise. Neil Gaiman has responded to allegations against him. We're going to look at that. Ginger Duggar released a memoir, and the correlations between what she's going through right now, what many of us who grew up in and left Scientology are uncanny, but I guess that does make sense. Mike Rinder continues to be remembered, and you know what? Scientology is hating it. We're going to look at much more, including a peek at the Scientology Donation Center and Volunteer Ministers headquarters, because, that's where the current shenanigans of Scientology is at. Thank you, moderators, for being here. I appreciate your help. Aloha to the members and everybody in the live chat. Thank you for being here. And if you're on the replay, I appreciate you being here. If you like this video, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let's have some fun going over some culty stuff here. I want to kick it off here. I was watching this content creator who covers the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the similarities between Scientology and the Jehovah's Witnesses are something that we've talked about here. Many of you have brought up different points like, wow, that happens too in the JWs. And look at this. It was almost as if she was talking about Scientology in a few ways. Watch this clip.
Number 2, it says the group will dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates. So Jehovah's Witnesses may not be able to literally physically control who you live with or date or speak to, but if they disapprove of your choice, the elders will absolutely punish you.
And in Scientology, as we know, mainly in the Sea organization, it's very controlled where they live, who they live with, what they do. It's fascinating. What fascinates me about the JWs is that I'm aware of, there's nothing like the Sea organization, yet their everyday members are subjected to a similar level of control. In Scientology, you have your public Scientologists, your staff, and your Sea Org members. And the higher you go up, the more the control gets. But I'm looking over here at the JWs going, whoa, that's like your everyday for everybody. Now, I am learning about it, and I might learn something different, but it is crazy. Right, Mama Opal? Crazy how much all of the cults are so similar, truly. And I've been really enjoying and getting some healing from watching other content creators covering their cult, because the similarities are uncanny. What they're going through, I can relate to. Probably like a lot of you who have never been in Scientology, but are all in on ending this cult. You can still relate due to experiences in your past. It just fascinates me. All right, let's finish up this clip here.
There will be consequences. Number 3, when, how, and with whom the member has sex. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. Jehovah's Witnesses are some of the most sexually repressed people on the face of the earth. And
now with Scientology, again, it's kind of your day-to-day. Like when I was a public Scientologist, there really wasn't much that came up about my sex life. Also, honestly, it wasn't that exciting. So maybe that's why. But in the Sea organization, you cannot have premarital sex. You can't even really touch each other in any kind of a fun way, let alone yourself. And the higher you go up, even within the Sea organization, that kind of culture around just vanilla private activities becomes even more forced, even more controlled. So I found that really interesting too.
And here's my issue. You're like, look, I have my values. I believe in saving sex for marriage. That's totally cool. If that's your choice, you have every right to live by your values, so long as it is your choice. You're not being shamed, coerced, or influenced by purity culture that says you're trash if you have premarital sex. That's my issue, and that's my issue with the witnesses. Like, compared to other Christian denominations, Jehovah's Witnesses are tightly wound. This is not like, we go to the same school, this is my boyfriend, we hold hands and go to the football game. Nah. You can't hold hands, casually sit together at the meetings.
That really is getting stricter than Scientology in ways. Now, let's be real. No one in the Sea Org is going to football games or anything like that. But growing up as a public Scientologist, you could have, there's less control, but the more you go up, the control becomes more intense. And ultimately, it is most controlled in the Sea organization, where only, you can only have sexual relations if you're married. And then it's very judged on what you're doing and the way that you're doing it. I should have probably talked about this later in the video, because right off the bat, we're getting into some like, woohoo. But I found it fascinating. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. And if there's anybody out there too who's a former member, I know we have a few. I would love to chat with you. Natalie at lifeafteraccult.com is my email. Hit me up. I'm also interested in this because I can't help but think about Prince, or the artist formerly known as, because I live in the Twin Cities, not far from Paisley's studio. And I remember learning that at one point, Prince was a Jehovah's Witness, as was Michael Jackson. And it just fascinates me. I do want to hear more about it. Aloha to everybody throwing alohas in that chat. I love it. Thank you so much for doing so and for being here. Hermie says, isn't it interesting that there's no touching in a fun way before marriage allowed, but SA is ignored? Right? Right? Exactly. Kind of the point. There does seem to be, in my opinion, a bit of a correlation between this purity culture from this coercion part of it. 'Cause like the woman said, I agree. If you decide not to have premarital sex, that's fabulous, good for you. But when an organization is enforcing it on people and also doing it a way where there's punishment if you do that, that is where it gets culty. That is where it gets very culty. Lady Victoria says they have a room that if you are SA SA'd in the JWs, you have to have a 2-minute you have to have 2 witnesses to say it did happen. If you don't, they don't believe you. Girl, are you serious? How are you gonna have a witness to that? Or maybe is that the whole point? Oh, that's horrible. In my opinion, that one thing there is worse than like, yeah, that's whoa. I did not know that. That is crazy. Constance June says, I worked with someone who was a JW under the radar out. She had to watch what she said or did at work because other JWs would report her. Very similar, again, to Scientology and the snitch culture. I had no idea the JWs were doing this to each other. Okay, but do they write actual reports? How does this happen? How does the reporting happen? In Scientology, there are a multitude of reports that people can write. Scientology has more reports you can write on somebody than colors in the rainbow. I never actually counted, but I think so. You can write a things that shouldn't be. You can write like a chit, like a late report. You can write a knowledge report. Most popular two are knowledge reports and things that shouldn't be. Things that shouldn't be, you get to write on somebody and not send them a copy. I like to call that the cop-out report. You're going to accuse me of something, you better CC me on it. And that is just not done. Like if you write a things that shouldn't be, you're trying to be shady and not let the person know you're reporting them. But a knowledge report, you do need to provide a copy to the person, and they do have a right to be faced with what those accusations are in the report. But of course, Scientology got some crazy ways of trying to have people get their stuff straight. Nancy, can you put it in can you star it so I can see it? All right, let's see. Oh, Lady Victoria says the JW also has their form of disconnection. I know this because my his first wife was a JW and they wanted her to disconnect from her daughter. Oh, no way. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And we have a birthday. Happy birthday, Stasia. Happy birthday. As Mama Opal says, may your day be beautiful and your year be wonderful. Do I still have happy birthday music? I don't know. Do I? I don't know. I can't find it, but happy birthday to you. There you go. My own private happy birthday song. I'm glad you're here. Happy birthday. I truly hope you have an amazing day. And I love that you're kicking it off with us. So everybody in the chat, let's flood some happy birthdays in there for Stasia, some aloha, some flowers, some hearts. Let's do it. Let's just mother her in aloha. All right, now let's take a look at, yesterday we talked a little bit about this. Mark Bunker's video it was called the Mad Picket that happened some years ago in front of Flag. And we saw some crazy behavior of Scientologists, pretty much on brand. Back in the day when this video was recorded, Scientologists were used to go and confront people, protesters, people who were, even speaking out against Scientology. They would recruit their higher level ones because, they got to be on the upper levels of Scientology. They have to be through what's called the wall of fire, which is where you learn all about Xenu and body thetans. And the reason why is just in case anybody there goes, Xenu. And then the Scientologist just poof and melts. No, they say that there's squirrel information out there, altered L. Ron Hubbard technology. Therefore, that's why we need these people. But girl, I got to tell you, This is next level. The body shaming, the name calling. Now, these days, we don't see Scientology sending out their people so much. Recently, with this recent round of protests started by Scientology Audit Streets LA, William Good, and it spread all across the country and the world. It is very interesting when you kind of contrast how Scientology used to confront these protesters. Boy, look at this. I can't wait to show you guys this. I was watching this like, oh my goodness, these people are rude. And Mark Bunker is just documenting the whole thing, cool as a cucumber. Let me see. Let's start this at the beginning. Check it out.
Now Mary DeMoss is trying to quiet him down.
Mark, you do exactly what they say all the time. How much longer are you going to do that?
And how ironic. You do what they say exactly all the time. Do you always do what they say? Pot kettle, girl. Pot kettle.
How much longer are you going to do exactly as they tell you? Can you think for yourself? Can you talk for yourself?
Are you talking for you or are those your BT stuff?
Hey, Mark, you're moving in a circle, Mark. Can you stand still?
We're crossing this.
They're like surrounding him, and they start in with like name calling, accusations.
Street. Money's across the street, guys.
Can you talk for yourself? Your leader's called you. What are you going to do? Every move he makes, you follow? You a follower?
Fatty, go home. That's all.
Come on, Mark.
Go home.
The body shaming. Y'all hear that? The body shaming. Survived by the Kool-Aid. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. The body shaming.
Your leader's calling you. Your leader's calling you. Listen, your leader is calling you. You need to go.
Remember, too, these are people who belong to an organization that says they want to create a civilization without war, without insanity. It's part of the line they read at their Sunday service when they have it to make it look like they're a little more churchy than everybody knows them to be.
You need help getting off those drugs you're on, pal.
Yeah, so if the fat shaming didn't work, they went right to you need help getting off those drugs that you're on. I mean, it's just accusation. It's the Scientology's way of doing. In Scientology, it's called driving in your anchor points, because in Scientology, it's like you have your attention out here, kind of like anchored, right? Like a point. And then when you come at somebody like that, you're driving those in. You're getting, basically, it's harder for them to respond or react. But to me, Mark Bunker looks like he was just letting them do it and probably happy because it was all being caught on video. This is to the degree that they don't see anything wrong what they're doing, Scientology and their response to these protesters. They know they're being videoed. They are proud about it. They are proud to be out there doing this and, body shaming Mark Bunker.
Go back to daddy.
Hey, is he going to pay you if you're on the wrong side of the street?
Hey,
he's
Minta.
over there.
When are you going to get extradited to Nigeria?
What does that mean? When are you going to get extradited to Nigeria? Now they're really bringing out, like, I don't even know what. Just the stuff they're coming up with is kind of crazy.
Now Mary DeMoss is trying.
So much piss and vinegar there, Scientology. The people with the secret to communication. They like to say, L. Ron Hubbard says, communication is the universal solvent. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm telling you. That's right. That's right, Anna. No. Squirrel Tech, written by David Miscavige. That's the thing that Scientologists eventually realize when they come to leave Scientology is a lot of the alterations currently in Scientology. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard made it culty enough, let's be real. But he died in 86. So now David Miscavige has been running the show longer than L. Ron Hubbard did. And he's put his own like culty stink on it. That's what I think. That's what I think. Lady Victoria says, from what Mark said, this woman left the cult, and we figure out where she is, and you can do an interview with her, please. I would love to. 100% I would love to do that. Yeah, let me know, anybody, if you know how to reach her. Natalie at lifeaftercult.com. I don't doubt, because I remember things that I did or ways I behaved when I was in Scientology. I am mortified by today, the way that I thought, because that was my Scientology indoctrination. It wasn't really who I am. And so I don't, how somebody was and what they did in Scientology can be extremely different from how they are today. I've seen that over and over and over again. So I would love to talk to her and do that. Nisa, yes, there were a bunch of vultures circling around their prey, trying to bully him rather than, maybe answer some questions, maybe take a look at the harmful practice of disconnection, maybe pay attention to what people are saying about their own experiences, but they can't. They just can't. Eileen, now I understand why the confrontational ones are elders. Exactly. I totally wanted to bring that up. You'll notice that in Scientology today, the Scientologists that do come up and get a little aggressive with protesters that seem to be going rogue on their own tend to be the elder Scientologists, because back in the day, this is how it was done. That's what they came up with. Many of them even protested on behalf of Scientology for different court cases. So their heyday in Scientology was one more of aggression towards people that don't agree. And that really is more of what we see today. You don't see as many younger people in Scientology going out there. They were trained and indoctrinated to hide. And what we're seeing today in Scientologists, mostly Sea Org members hiding from the cameras, because we can't have families knowing where people are. We can't have people recognizing their friends, their cousin, their brother, their sister, their old neighbor, whatever it was on these videos. Scientology can't be having that. People might want to talk to each other. That'd be like scandalous. Massively scandalous. All right, now we got to look at a Scientology press release. So y'all know the drill. Gird your loins. Be careful. We're going to go to some Scientology propaganda. Check this out. This is your typical Scientology press release. This is involving, of course, the LA fires. Says the Eaton fire began on January 7th. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Scientology volunteer ministers are responding to serve Los Angeles in its time of need. And here they are loading up a truck, which, let's be real, that's what they're being called out on. Loading up trucks at other donation centers and then handing it out and taking credit for themselves. Because you can see they're making a human chain. You could say, oh, maybe it's going the other way. But the woman standing there with, the hat there, it looks to me like she is ready to receive, not that she just handed something off. So I think it's hilarious, given the climate right now around Scientology and these fires and all the accusations of them going and taking stuff. What do? They go ahead and put a photo showing them actually doing it. Why? Because L. Ron Hubbard said, maybe he was right. The criminal wants to be caught. The criminal will make mistakes because they want to be caught. Here's Scientology just blasting it out themselves. Seriously. Auditing Scientology KC. Mike says, good point. The Scientologists who have confronted me have been older. Yes, indeed. You will notice that. And it is very interesting. Okay, back to this propaganda here. Let's see. It's amazing to know. This is a quote by somebody. It's amazing to know I can do something about the situation, said one volunteer who joined the volunteer ministers team providing help in Altadena. I feel I'm doing my part and I'm really doing something about it. Now, I do want to say there are people, even in Scientology, that are actually helping people, that are handing out supplies, that weren't necessarily involved in the shenanigans of taking supplies. A lot of them, they are there because they do want to help. I think those are the Scientologists that tend to get in there and get dirty, not pay attention to the cameras, not be filming it themselves, but getting on with actually helping people. Then you have the Scientologists that have the giant cameras that you can tell are obvious there for the photo op. I just want to make that distinction because not all Scientologists are behind Scientology when it comes to preying on victims and doing that. Some of them really think they're helping, and the organization they're connected to is the volunteer ministers because that's Scientology and that's all they have. So having said that here, let's see. Volunteer ministers located an area just outside the sealed off exclusion zone where some of the homes were destroyed by the fire. We started to walk around that neighborhood to offer our help, said another volunteer. And we've heard about this. We got the Ring doorbell camera videos coming in, showing people chasing Scientologists off their front lawn that they don't want their culty stuff. She described meeting a single mom who was living with her children and her sister when their house caught fire and burned down. They are now living in the guest house at the back of the property. I gave her gallons of water and 3 to 4 bags of necessities, she said. So this is the volunteer. And I gave her my card, letting her know that if she needs anything else or if she meets any other people in need of help. And then they say, we collected donations of food and supplies and filled our entire SUV with food, water, toiletries, and baby supplies, says a third volunteer minister who provided relief nearby. We then brought the supplies door to door in Pasadena and Altadena neighborhoods. So again, Scientology is trying to do a little bit of damage control, I think, because of the sheer number of reports on social media and other places. Even though they're trying to get rid of these articles online, they actually did get rid of 2 that I know of. It is still out there, and now they're using their own propaganda to be like, no. We took it. Well, here's a picture of us doing it, but we're handing it out to people. And I get that, Scientology. I get how you trying to say that, but when you show up with mass amounts of camera to a donation site and start scooping like that and behaving as you do, no, it's culty. It doesn't give that. When you get in front of every camera that will stand still long enough for you to get in front of, like you're on some type of beauty pageant going across the stage, people are going to come for you. Because Scientology is very driven by trying to gain public acceptance through activities like this. But again, I just want to point out, there are some Scientologists that genuinely are out there wanting to help and actually are. So, baby bathwater, whole thing, as in any type of group. There are people who believe they're doing something good and others who are just there for the clout, because we know volunteer ministers, Scientology are the biggest clout goblins that exist on the internet, in my opinion. That is my opinion. Now let's take a look at Dan Walks LA, who was in Hollywood. How Dan Walks LA has had a week with the fires and having to evacuate and coming back and finding his apartment looked like it was broken into. Dude has been through a lot. So shout out to Dan Walks LA. Absolutely. Send him some aloha, you guys. Let's take a look at a clip where he is at the Scientology testing center talking about how they were hosing down their site and videotaping it. Of course they were. Hold on a second. Get this pulled up after I pause it. Here we go. Dan Walks LA.
So when I drove by, it was maybe like 6:30 in the evening. When I drove by, there were 3 of them in their yellow gear. One of them was hosing it down. Another one was over there at the hose valves. And then another one was taking photos, video.
And when you see them taking videos or videoing, taking photos while somebody else is doing something like hosing down the building, it is likely for what's called a compliance report in Scientology. In Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard says, if it isn't written, it isn't true. So everything has to be in writing. And also, they need to show, yes, we did this. They need to show proof that they've complied with the order. So if the order was hose down the building, they need to say, yes, attest that we did hose down the building. Here's a picture or a video of us doing it. Scientology, I don't even know where they keep all these pictures and videos for their compliance and doing stuff like that. But boy, it would be hilarious one day if somebody leaked all of it on the internet. It's already happened here and there. It's already happened here and there. Yep, Magnus, it's like Men in Black when the alien tries to act like a human. Exactly. Stasia, I agree. Dan does great things. Cubana Chica, sure, let's waste essential water and clean up the building. Oh, wait till you see what they were doing at the blue buildings when we get to that, because they were. So at one point, Dan spots this dude in a van at the testing center, and he's stuck there because he can't get out of the car. He's there with a video. This went on. This is one of my favorite things about watching a lot of the live streamers is just the situations that they stumble upon and then the position to put Scientology in to make a move or not make a move. This dude was just stuck in that van and it was kind of hilarious. Check it out.
It's okay to leave Scientology. Hi.
And he's just in there. I think he moved around a little bit, but I was watching this thing like with the popcorn. I don't eat popcorn, but if I was eating popcorn, that's how it would look. watching this play out, just endless entertainment, just watching Scientology do their thing. So at one point, the person keeps hiding, right? He's there hiding. And like, I think, is this the clip? Let's watch this for a second.
Thanks, April. Thank you so much. Yeah, it must smell like body Dayton's in that van.
That was the part there. It must smell like body Thetans in that van. I would imagine it probably does. I don't know. But God, that was so funny. It smells like body Thetans in here. Let me out. Let me out. The guy's in there with some Febreze spraying away the body Thetans. Wouldn't be doing that because in Scientology, specifically the C organization, you cannot use any scented products. Can you imagine going through life when you live in a dorm with 13, 14, 15, 20 people, 3 bunk beds high, and people are not allowed to use scented products? Not for your laundry, not for cleaning, not for nothing on your body. Let me tell you, it is stinky. It does end up feeling like maybe this is what body Thetans smell like. It's this smell that I can remember it very clearly of like so many bodies stuffed into a place. And it's like what I would think if ever there was a candle called Cult, it would smell like BO and sweat, desperation, wanting to get out, but no, you're stuck there, cannibalizing on your own friends and snitching people out. Yeah, I would make a candle. I would call it Cult, and I would make it smell like BO and desperation. But I'm not going to do that because I just think that would be funny though. Actually, there's probably a way to do it. I have made candles in the past. All right, now let's go over to the blue buildings, you guys, because we're going to take a look at what Scientology was doing, their distribution, their donation center, and we're going to contrast that to another donation center. But first, we're going to look at a clip from Jeffrey Augustine, who was walking around the blue buildings, and he made a prediction that I would put money on. But first, George Massey. I pass my body Thetans regularly, and many people leave the room. Oh, George, that's funny. Ooh, Gamer Jackie. Natalie, that's what prison smells like. It's not a coincidence. I didn't think about that, but you are probably right. Cult in prison probably does have the same smell. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go now take a look at Jeffrey Augustine, because he does make a prediction when he's walking around the blue buildings that I think is correct. Listen to this.
My prediction is that they're going to make a big push for the purification rundown, sell it between $3,000 to $12,000, and they're going to say all the smoke and toxins, they're going to push the Purif in a big way. They're going to do it through front groups. They're going to use, if they follow the template of 9/11, they're going to get firefighters in who are paid shills, to do the Purif, and they're going to promote the purification rundown like hell, and then try to get government agencies to pay for it. Mark my word, it's up on my blog. It says Tom Cruise, Scientology, disaster capitalism.
I do believe this is going to be true. Tell me what you think. Let's do a little poll. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Scientology is going to pull out the purification rundown and go crazy promoting it to the victims of the fire, but firefighters, law enforcement, other people. Put a 2 if you think, I think they learned their lesson and they're going to back down. Let me know what you think. Let's go hot and heavy, hot and heavy. 1 if they're, already forgot what I said. 1 if they're going to pull out the purification rundown and just like it, just a total money grab recruitment, or 2, Natalie, I think you're being overcritical and I think they learned and they're actually not going to do that. Asen says they never learned their lesson. I know, that's why I'm seeing a lot of 1s. Nancy, you put a 2. Was that a typo? Nancy's like, no, I think they learned their lesson. Kayla, you're right. They never seem to learn their lesson. But a big part of that is because Scientology says they have to do what L. Ron Hubbard says. So it's always around that. That's why everybody will look at this. That's right, Nancy. Someone's got to be different. Everybody's looking at this, seeing the majority of people are seeing the same thing. Scientology sees it very differently. And I think Scientologists too, because we all still see things often more as we are rather than they are. So many Scientologists will feel justified in pushing the purification rundown because they really believe that they're helping people. Professor Furberger says they only learn to adapt and lie more. It does very much give that vibe, right? Janet Burns says, I just pressed 2. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that they're learning. I don't think so. Amber Vanessa says, and it's not like Sea Org members didn't shower because they did not. But wait, and it's not like Sea Org members didn't shower because they did, but we were not allowed to have anything that smelled good. The deodorant was like crystal deodorant, which is useless. That's true. Even soaps, things we did our laundry with. And you know what the real kicker is, you guys? Sea Org members have to pay for it themselves. Unscented products tend to be more expensive than scented products. So they have to take their little stipend of $47 a week, if they even get it, and use it to pay for their laundry, to get themselves any snacks. What if they need vitamins or something else? Clothes outside of the Sea Organization, civilian clothes. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Anna from Canada, that's right. Hubbard only liked the smell of cigarettes. So maybe we need a candle called Scientology, and it smells like cigarettes, BO, and sweat. Do you think it would be a winner? Should I make it? Can I put it in the merch shop? I don't know. Somebody would have to come up with it. Asen says it is a dilemma. They have to do all what LRH said, the dude of his time, the 50s and 60s. And at the same time, they are required to recruit. Damned if they do, damned if they don't. Exactly. And it ends up being why a lot of people end up leaving Scientology, is these demands on them, not just financially, but even to recruit. It makes them uncomfortable. Some people just want to do Scientology and leave it there, not go out and recruit and bring people in, but is so pushed by Scientology to do that because they say, if you're not, there's something wrong with you. Well, I don't know, Scientology, maybe you need to reprogram Tom Cruise, because I feel like he is not out there pounding the pavement for you. Maybe behind the scenes, because he may have learned his lesson to not do it so publicly. I don't know. Gamer Jackie, however, if you had been able to do scented stuff, could you imagine the migraine-inducing mixed perfume hell? That is true. That is a good point, Gamer Jackie. That is true. It could be a whole mix, but could they have come up with scents that were okay? Maybe that were natural or through essential oils like lavender? I don't know anybody that hates lavender. I mean, I'm sure there are people, but it is calming. Help keep people chill. I don't know. I just feel like there's a better way than nothing at all. But is that not typical of Scientology, to be all or nothing? You're either going to smell like crazy perfume, like it's a Macy's perfume counter, or you're going to stink. There's no in between. Typical Scientology. That's right. One scent to rule them all. You'd think they could come up with one, at least have some uniformity, or maybe a couple of options. Okay, now let's take a look. So Jeffrey Augustine rounds the corner there at the Blue Buildings, where he's at the Volunteer Ministers headquarters. They got a sign up that's like donation center, and there's another big sign that says Volunteer Ministers headquarters, because these people, this is where their headquarters are for the volunteer ministers. And we're going to look at it. Oh, Cubana Chica gets a headache from lavender. Okay, I knew there were people that probably wouldn't work for. What a bummer, because I love lavender. But you probably got some other scent that you really love as well that you can use, I hope. For some people, scents are an issue. I'm just saying there should be a choice. And like many things in this organization, there is no choice. It is all very black and white. And at least enough that you're not going to, be offensive in your bodily smell. So if they could maybe let them have deodorant, because you don't always deodorant that maybe has a little bit of a smell, because that's not as much as, perfume where you can go around and smell it. So that's my 2 cents on that. You guys keep your 2 cents coming. In the meantime, we're going to look what happened around the corner when Jeffrey Augustine was out there at the Blue Buildings.
Okay, so anyway, let's go back to Scientology volunteer.
There's their big volunteer minister headquarters. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to something. Mostly, notice how many people are there at this distribution center where all this stuff is going on, right? All all of the supplies where it is so busy. Or is it? Watch this.
Ministers help headquarters. Do you need help? Something can be done about it. And I'm getting glared at by a Scientologist. Oh, he just punched that box like he was punching me. Shatter suppression, go for it. He doesn't like this. He's angry, he's upset, he's unturbulated, possibly unturbulated. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to Scientology volunteer ministers help headquarters. Do you need?
So you can see looks like there's some supplies there, but where are the people? Where are the people? What is that thing? Something that make the steeple, open the door and see all the people. Where are the people? Where are the people coming for help? It's like Scientology threw a party and nobody showed up. Not the first time that happened, so it's probably on brand for them. But where are the people coming to get stuff? Maybe the time is off. They're not there. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical. Where are the people, you guys? Tell me. Where are the people? You say you're going to help. Does no one want to come? Does no one want to go? Are people really not going to show up to a distribution center because it's run by Scientology? Tell me what you guys think. One in the chat. Is that why they're staying away? Because it's a cult? I'm wondering, because look at this. I'm going to show you something in contrast, okay? Contrast. You just saw Scientology and their distribution center. Hey, Jess, the people do not lack the Scientology parties. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of you saying ones. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Look, think about what you just saw. Hold it in your mind, that empty Scientology distribution center, and look at this. This is the Santa Anita Distribution Center, where it started as a grassroots movement of people coming together to bring supplies, to get organized. This is where we saw Scientology out there trying to, they took some stuff, but trying to look busy, trying to get in front of the cameras, all of the things. But look at the difference. So much people, so many donations, people showing up to help, community members coming forward. Now contrast that again to what we saw. Sometimes I like to kick myself off my own stream just to see if you guys are paying attention. Did anyone notice I was even gone? I clicked the wrong button, y'all. You know me. I'm like doing all this on one screen, trying to be extra. I need to get a separate screen. It's on my list. I just need the time to carve out. I actually have one and I can't get it to work. So I will figure it out, y'all. I will figure it out. I'm glad some of you noticed I was gone. I'm like, seriously, Jess missed me. I disappear and y'all are just going on with your business. All right, let's keep going. So you saw what I was showing you there about the Santa Anita and the contrast between those two. It is huge. Oh, Professor Kakan missed me. That's right, Lori Place. You were thrown into a pit of eternal darkness. E.S. Gotcher, I accept your apology. Thank you. We can move on. Marlene was concerned. Okay, now I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the love. You guys noticed that I went missing for a couple seconds. Thank you for noticing. 3 seconds. Yeah, I disappeared. And she's back. All right, now let's take a look. Okay, you guys. So Jeffrey Augustine is out there with this guy, Josh, who's a live streamer. I don't know his channel. Or otherwise I'd shout it out, but I don't know. Maybe someone knows. You can put it in the chat, or if you're in the replay on the comments. And he was there, and Scientology, there are fires, a lack of water, a drought, reports of fire hydrants not having water, right? You would think like, okay, we're going to be like, especially in front of our own distribution center, maybe not wasting water, maybe. I think you guys know what's coming next. Look what Scientology was doing. This is out front, their donation center.
You wouldn't create an unsafe condition by pressure washing the sidewalk. Okay, so
they're pressure washing the sidewalk.
LA Fires Community Donation Center.
They're pressure washing the sidewalk. Why? Why? Why are you pressure washing the sidewalk in front of a donation center for fire victims where some of these homes burned down because there wasn't the water or the resources to fight it? But let's also make the sidewalk super slippery while we're at it. I hope you got insurance, Scientology, because that looks like a slip and fall waiting to happen. Why are you doing that? Look how it looks. They cannot help themselves. And apparently, and this guy Josh was telling him as well that when he came up and started filming and asking questions, the pressure washer came out. So Scientology's not even actually trying to clean something. The pressure washer exists to keep people live streaming or protesting away from the entrance there. Well, how people who need help gonna get in? You can tell I'm getting all worked up here. Let me get into my more professional state of mind. How are people supposed to get in? Maybe that's why nobody is there picking up donations. You're doing a pressure washer right in front. You're wasting resources. Do you guys remember? Was it last summer? Hard to remember because in LA, it always looks the same to me because the weather doesn't change that much. When they were wasting gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of water running the sprinklers to get rid of or attempt to get rid of people live streaming and protesting Scientology. That's where all your water went, Los Angeles. Scientology just like, whoa, letting all that water out. Now we're pressure washing sidewalks. Seriously, in front of a donation center, like actually in front. They really are their own worst enemy.
Now, see, setting up a very wet and slippery sidewalk is antithetical to having people come in and feel safe.
Exactly. It's like they don't care about the optics. And to a degree, they don't, you guys. What they care about is making the members think they're doing the best, that they're just doing it all. They're out there filming. They're going to, they film themselves at other distribution centers. So, they're doing it there. And I just think it's hilarious that they got all these tents set up and nobody's coming. Maybe people will. And honestly, I hope they get those donations to people who need them. Now, here's an idea I have for Scientology. I would like to share it with the Office of Special Affairs. So we must wake them up. David Miscavige, please wake up your people. What is today, you guys? Wednesday. We can be loud. Boom, 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 boom. Wake up, OSA. Boom, 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 boom. OSA, Office of Special Affairs. My friends, my lovelies. You are underpaid, overworked, tired. I get it. But the thing is, the optics here are incredibly bad. Like, I know you got to show Scientologists, this is where your money's going. We're doing all of these great things. My idea for you, my suggestion, my plea even, you might say, Scientology, take the items that you have collected, all the donations you have there, and take them to a distribution center where people are willing to go to get those supplies. Continue at a minimum to drop them off, right? If you want to go to different animal places or you want to distribute them at different distribution centers, because otherwise you're sitting there with a pile, an abundance of supplies, and people don't want to come get them because you're Scientology and you're culty. So do something good. Get them over to somebody else. What do you guys think about my idea? Am I on track here? Am I on track? I think it's a genius idea myself. I do. Take them somewhere where people can use them, where they can take advantage of it. But no, I would bet money they're not going to do that. But Office of Special Affairs, honestly, in all seriousness, that would be fine. Video it if you want. Take pictures of you guys dropping them off at other distribution centers just to make sure that people can utilize those supplies. Now, maybe something changes. Oh, people loving my idea. Thank you, Marlene, Jess, Marcy. Yes, one's in the chat for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, Lisa Pete, they don't want to give the supplies away. Makes you wonder. Things that make you go, pretty darn culty. All right, now let's take a look, because Scientology, again, they're just trying to do the most over there. So they're trying to get people into their Los Angeles organization. So when you look at that footage we just looked at, that's the Los Angeles organization. That in Scientology is called a Class 5 organization. It can deliver up to level Class 5 in Scientology. So that's all that means. And it is empty. It is empty. But what they're doing is trying to get people from the community to come in and be trained as volunteer ministers. Scientology offers, through their volunteer minister program, 15, 19 courses based off of these booklets by L. Ron Hubbard, and people can do them online for free, and then you become a volunteer minister. So look at this. They're teaching people how to do assists. So this is from Facebook. From the volunteer minister site, it says Los Angeles locals are learning how to administer assists methods created by L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, which address the emotional and spiritual factors of stress and trauma. The nervous system is being utilized right now to provide relief to weary firefighters. So is that a firefighter on there getting a nervous assist? So she's showing them how to do it. So this makes me think there is an expectation by Scientology that, and I saw a bigger picture before I cropped it in there. There's nobody there. There were like 3 people in the audience. One of them was probably a Scientologist. And because that's what they'll do if they're doing a seminar or a workshop and nobody shows up, or 1 or 2 non-Scientologists show up, they get Scientologists to fill in those seats. They do. They get butts in those seats. Body fillers. They act like it's the Oscars over there. You got to go to the bathroom, get a Scientologist in here in this seat. We're filming. We need consistency. We got to show these seats are filled up. They didn't even do that in the Los Angeles organization. They actually posting photos showing nobody's coming in. Nobody is picking up what they are putting down. They're not, but they're still trying. They're still going for it. They're still going to try and do that. But Scientology, keep your hands off the firefighters. Seriously. And if you are going to give those assists, at least they're giving the nervous assist, which is a good back scratch. I will say that. At least it's that. Eric S. Giving the firefighters food, water, and a place to rest would be so much more useful. I agree, Eric. I agree. Fish Mom, what a crowd in that class. Yeah. All of 3 people. And I'm almost sure one of them was a Scientologist. And the other people are like, wait, what are we were here to get supplies. Like we're victims of the fire. And now you want us to go feel up firefighters? I was gonna make a joke about that. On one hand, I'm like, ooh, what a good day to be a Scientologist. But no, it's not. Just firefighters, they're just so strong and so brave, and you know. I know I'm not the only one thinking that. So don't even look at me like that, you guys. Carla's loving wife. I want to know if the person giving a touch assist can pass a background study, worried about the pedos and similar, right? That's the other thing. You think Scientology is doing background checks on people that they're going to send out and unleash onto the community to go touch a bunch of people? No, they're not. They don't do that. They don't do that at all. Cubana Chica, firefighter calendar. I know. I'm getting distracted. Okay, let's see here. E.S. Gotcher, the Scientos are going to give assist to firefighters, most of which are EMTs. I would hope they laugh in their faces. True, right? You're a firefighter, you're an EMT, you're somebody actually trained in first aid and giving care, and you get that bizarre like body rub down scratch from Scientology. The nervousist. It's a nervousist. And they have to do it like they do in Scientology. Start of assist. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, you feel better? Good. End of assist. Creepy as all get out. Carla's loving wife says, I thought I saw them try to touch assist his hose. Is that a good reason for a security check? So many rules. It would be in Scientology. What I just said to you in the last 5 minutes would probably get me declared if I was still in Scientology. I'm a horrible joker and degrader in the eyes of Scientology. No humor. You can't have humor about Scientology. You might be able to laugh about other stuff, but you can't have humor about Scientology. I don't miss that. I enjoy having humor about it. I really do. Jersey Jan, thank you. Natalie, I was thinking the same thing about the firefighters. Shout out to the firefighters, the EMTs, the first responders, all of them. And I have been enjoying too. There are so many female firefighters now, more, which is fantastic to see. I love that my grandkids are going to grow up in a world more where, women are firefighters, where they're going to see that. My granddaughter will grow up seeing that. I just love it. Bad day and aloha to you. Welcome. Thank you, Professor Furberger. You all are jokers and degraders with me, every last one of you. You are all guilty by association. Scientology would all call you jokers and degraders. All right. So now let's talk about, let's see, why do I have this here? I already read that. That's Scientology's propaganda. Have we recovered from the Scientology propaganda? I hope that we have. Let's see. Asen says, when caught stealing, they go, actually, and then here's our photos showing we're loading up trucks. We are going to take them places. We are. Really, we are. Just believe us. I'm catching up on some of the starred comments here, but I don't know which ones I already did. The ones that left Scientology are the one that learned that lesson. True. So much. So you guys, I like to remind people of this. Most Scientologists have no clue about a lot of the abuses in the Sea Organization, in Scientology, the cover-up. Some of them know, but it's a small number. The majority of them don't. They don't know that L. Ron Hubbard, right before releasing Dianetics, was in a sex cult trying to bring about the Antichrist. They don't know that. They don't even know about his previous wives and kids. Scientologists tend to only know the story and the narrative that Scientology puts forth. And it is a very boring vanilla one. Then you leave Scientology and you're like, oh my God. We'll talk about a house of cards. Truly. Truly. Asen says, I wonder if the people besides the propaganda folk who do the wannabe we're helping know if there's a fire going on around them. Oh gosh, that is, yeah, truly. Because think about it, Sea Org members too, they're out there not, they're not watching television or the news or streaming or watching streams, I should say. Very few Sea Org members have smartphones that can access the internet. Tends to be if their job involves that. But as we all know, where there's a will, there is a way. I know of 2 people that escaped from the Sea Organization after getting Kindles that could access the internet, and they found out the truth. One of them was David Miscavige's own father, Ronnie Miscavige. The other one was Rosemary, Mike Brown's mom. She had gotten somebody gave her a Kindle that could access the internet. She taught herself how to do it. And she started finding out the truth about Scientology. And that's why, in my opinion, these videos, these survivor stories that we talk about and share are so important, because there's people sometimes in those 2 people were Sea Org members and they still had a way. They did when they could access the internet. This is an important point, you guys. When Sea Organization members can access the internet, what are they doing? They're looking up Scientology and they start to see the truth. What does that tell you? That while they're in there, they're having doubts. They're having questions. First thing you do when you get online is to look up stuff about the church, the group, the cult that you're in. Means you got doubts. You got doubts. I bet you they have a rule now that you can't have a Kindle or one that can access the internet because of this situation, of this problem, of people actually getting Kindles, getting online, and getting curious and looking. But it goes to show one of the first things they will do when they have the freedom to look is to look and question. That's why, especially in the Sea Org, they try to keep Sea Org members as far away from that as possible so they don't find out. Marcy says, that's awesome. We should hand out Kindles to Sea Org members. They probably wouldn't take them, but I'm telling you, it would be good. It would be great. I wish there was a place like an internet cafe or some place that people in controlling cults or even maybe in abusive families that don't have access to the internet can go to log on and get information and reach out for help. Maybe this kind of thing already exists and I don't know about it. If you do, let me know. I would love to share it. Natalie at, what's my email? Natalie at lifeafteraccult.com. Because I think that would be a good idea to be able to go, somewhere they could go ideally for free and get like maybe in 30 minutes, you can access the internet. You can learn a lot in that amount of time. You really can. You can learn a lot. All right. Now let's jump topics here and talk about Mike Rinder being Mike Rinder being remembered. Why? Because it pisses off Scientology. They cannot stand it. There is obituary, remembrance, article after article all over the place becoming international news. And you got to remember, Office of Special Affairs, part of what their job is to track the amount of negative press. And there is not an article about Mike Rinder's passing that doesn't include Scientology's a cult and that kind of stuff. And this one is no different. This is from The Telegraph. Mike Rinder, senior Scientology figure who became a whistleblower for a BBC documentary. He alleged that devotees were subject to physical assault, emotional abuse, and intolerable working conditions. And goes on to say, I'm going to read this just for the Office of Special Affairs in case they did not access it today. Want to get it on your radar? Add it to your spreadsheet of negative press about Scientology. Mike Rinder, who has died age 69, was a high-ranking official within the Church of Scientology who later broke away to become one of the religion's most outspoken critics, a member of the church since boyhood. Rinder served as director of Office of Special Affairs. Some of you people new in the Office of Special Affairs may not know a lot of this because it's probably, I don't know what they tell you in there. They tend to keep you like a mushroom, keep you in the dark, and feed you crap. Rinder served as director of the Office of Special Affairs, tasked with handling public relations and legal matters. Once on the outside, he wrote a book detailing his experiences. In A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Highest Ranks of Scientology, Rinder made accusations, all hotly denied by the church, that members were subjected to physical assault, emotional abuse, and intolerable working conditions. The church operated under a strict hierarchy, and the words of its founder, L. Ron Hubbard, were taken as gospel. High-ranking members were taught to believe that a space alien called Lord Xenu. Okay, now technically, I don't think we called him Lord Xenu. Just Xenu. You don't gotta be extra. It's just Xenu. Galactic Overlord, which I think is different from Lord Xenu. Galactic Overlord. I mean, I guess it could be the same thing. I just feel like, we should just keep things straight. Followers with perceived unhandled evil intentions were subject to bizarre punishments, such as being made to clean a sewage retention pit. The church denounced the book as a compendium of gross exaggerations and provable lies. Erwan Hubbard looking creepy as all get out, sticking things into a tomato, because I guess that's what you do when you're researching your science of the mind and your new cult. Maybe he's trying to impregnate it. Maybe it didn't work out with Jack Parsons, and now he's trying to impregnate the tomato and bring about the Antichrist. Maybe the Antichrist is really going to be like multiple little tomatoes, and he's just trying to do that. I don't know. We don't know the backstory. We just saw, some people do. So I'm just going to fill it in and let you know what I think is happening. Carla's loving wife says, Lord Xenu has different eyes, probably a stepbrother or something. Exactly. They're probably fighting over it, but we know the truth about Xenu. He's got some situation he needs to handle in Florida because Xena, his estranged wife, is out there doing videos about him, saying he owes child support. It's a thing. If you want to see those, you got to go to Feral Cheryl on the Loose because she keeps it real and she tells it like it is. All right. So continuing on past the creepy man, Rinder's allegations, coupled with his willingness to be interviewed by the mainstream media, gave him an unusually high profile. I bet you hate that, Office of Special Affairs. He ran a popular blog, Something Can Be Done About It, and won an Emmy for his work as co-producer on a documentary series, Leah Remini's Scientology in the Aftermath. He and Remini also collaborated on a podcast. In a final blog post dated January 5th, Rinder wrote of his sorrow that he had not lived to see the end of the church's policy of disconnection, by which members are encouraged to disassociate themselves from friends or relatives who criticize Scientology. In his book, he claimed that his decision to defect had severed ties with his first wife, their 2 children, his 2 siblings, and members of their families. Michael John Rinder was born in, I'm going to skip over that because we know his history kind of there. Then it talks about how David Miscavige took over Scientology, gives some background information about the book. And then, his story as well. So I will link it down below too. We did read most of it, but so you guys can read the whole thing, all of the links and the videos and the whatnots, I will put in the description when we are done. Okay. Got to show you something else here. Do you guys use ChatGPT? One in the chat. Who uses ChatGPT? I use ChatGPT. I am finding more ways to use ChatGPT. It's very simple. Did you know? So I got this ChatGPT app on my phone. Right? This thing, I forget how much I pay for it. It's a paid app, but it's worth it because I use it often. But this thing, you can have your like different bots. You can have one is friend. You can have a ChatGPT friend, a creative thinker, an assistant, a jack of all trades, a dating advisor, an attorney, a marketer, a financial assistant. And I saw one, I had this ad because, I'm being bombarded being as a fairly new widow with all kinds of ads about dating and stuff. And Chat GPT, you can even have a Chat GPT boyfriend or girlfriend. Just crazy. So anyways, to my point. Liz Gale here on YouTube. Shout out to Liz Gale. Liz Gale was playing around with ChatGPT, and she asked ChatGPT, is it true? Oh my gosh, my daughter's dog. You can tell it's nearby. It's behind a gate on the stairs, but the fur is starting to blow this way. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so anyways, back to ChatGPT. Liz Gale puts in to ChatGPT, hey, is it true that David Miscavige makes people salute his dog? And y'all know what ChatGPT kicked out? Look at this. This is so fun. ChatGPT recommended the video I did with Jess. This is actually a short from that video. My cult leader made me salute his dog. And so Liz Gale puts in, is it true that Sea Org members have to salute David Miscavige's dog? And listen to what ChatGPT says. Yes, according to multiple reports, members of Scientology Sea Organization have been required to salute the dogs of leader David Miscavige. Miscavige, who has kept several dogs at the church's Gold Base in California, reportedly dressed them in miniature Sea Org uniforms, complete with commander's bars. These dogs were assigned ranks higher than many human staff members, and it was customary for staff to salute them as they passed by. However, the Church of Scientology disputes these accounts, labeling them as false and lacking credibility. For a first-hand account, you might find this video insightful. Oh my goodness. I could not believe it. Shout out to Liz Gale for sharing that. That was funny. Dr. MLS, ChatGPT is good for literature research. There's a lot you can do with it. Yeah, Jess, you being recommended by ChatGPT, girl. How crazy is that? I love it. I love it. Makes me want to do more shorts, to be honest. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about the importance of sharing this content, sharing the videos, liking the videos, subscribing to these channels, and getting that word out, because it's the truth about Scientology. And to have ChatGPT calling it out, to go on X and see community notes calling out Scientology as being a cult. This is huge. This is such a turning of the tides when it comes to Scientology. Office of Special Affairs. I want to make sure you know somebody needs to brief David Miscavige on the fact that ChatGPT is recommending the videos of suppressive people about him doing culty things. Please tell him. Please tell him. Somebody tell him. Somebody skywrite it. I wish I could be a fly on the wall and just see the implosion of you watch. Next, Scientology is going to be, I don't know this to be true or fact. This is speculation on my part and a little bit of imagination. Scientology, you watch, next might ban Scientologists from using ChatGPT. Or release something saying ChatGPT is run by the psychs. It is run by the psychiatrists. The psychiatrists are now running ChatGPT, and they're out there telling people that Scientology is a cult and that David Miscavige makes people salute his dog. Well, they do. They did. And we've got the people around that witnessed it, like Jess, who's right here. Jess LaBarber. How funny is that? I was going to send it to you yesterday, Jess, and I forgot. Or maybe I did, and I don't remember doing it. Either way, I'm glad you're here and seeing this. Carla's loving wife. David Miscavige likes dogs, as he is typically taller than them. Okay, I don't like to make the short jokes because that's something that people can't control about their height. But I hear you. I hear you. Oh, Maria. Maria says, OMG. That reminds me of a military guy, a friend of mine. He did that to his dog, but he was drunk all the time. Maria in Greece. Hey, Maria in Greece. Yeah, he was drunk all the time. At least that guy got an excuse. What is David Miscavige's excuse? Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for dressing up dogs in little cute outfits. That I applaud. But he did it to demean human beings. David Miscavige does this to demean and control members of the C organization, to keep them down, to keep them invalidating themselves, to keep them thinking they're just pieces of crap. That's what he does to control. This is not a man who is a true leader, who inspires people through inspiration, through modeling, through setting a good example of some kind, which is ironic because it's one of Scientology's key tenets, set a good example. No, it's threats, it's intimidation. I'm going to make you feel so horrible about yourself that you don't have the strength to stand up to Scientology and leave, to stand up to David Miscavige and walk away. That's why he does it. And it's disgusting and demeaning and totally on brand for David Miscavige and what we know about him. George Massey says he's Caligula level cray-cray. Caligula made his horse a member of the Roman Senate. Does seem to be that way. I mean, we're just saying. And Jess is saying, yeah, the message is you are lower than my dog. And remember, you guys, these are people who have dedicated 1 billion years. They go into this committing to lifetime after lifetime because they truly believe they're helping people and that they're going to help people. The bars on it too was kind of like next level. Again, I'm not opposed to people dressing up their animals. I like it. But doing it with the intention to demean other people, it's like, no. Not at all. Not okay. Not okay. Okay, we have to touch on Neil Gaiman's response. Yesterday, y'all, for those of you that might not have caught it, I did a video dedicated to this Neil Gaiman issue, and I shared a lot of clips and information about his past, his deep connections in Scientology. Go ahead and watch that video to get all the info, but Neil Gaiman has come out with a response to these horrific allegations of SA by several women. And we're going to go ahead and look at the response that he came out with. And you guys, I want to know what you think about this. So jump in the comments. If you're on the replay, please hit that like, check your subscribe, and you jump in the comments too and let me know what you think. Let's look at this. So this is from Neil Gaiman. This was posted at 10:20 a.m., I think yesterday. Over the past months, I have watched the stories circulating the internet about me with horror and dismay. I've stayed quiet until now, both out of respect for the people who were sharing their stories and out of a desire not to draw even more attention to a lot of misinformation. I just kind of want to say to you guys, when I read these articles or responses, I'm sharing the information with you. Don't come at me like I am all team Neil Gaiman or anything like that. I try to present information and you all make your decision. I'm not going to tell you who to follow, who to unfollow, what to do, what to read, none of that. I am not in a cult anymore and neither are you. But I will tell you every day, all day, not to follow Scientology. I will throw shade at them all day because it is the truth. I've always tried to be a private person. Okay, even myself, I just like kind of got to push back on that. I don't know. You've been on social media a long time, very active on Twitter, but okay. And felt increasingly, look at me, I'm all saying like, I'm just going to give you the information. You decide for yourselves while I'm criticizing the man as I go through. Okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to bite my lip on this. Probably won't, but I will try. I've now reached the point where I feel that I should say something. As I read through this latest collection of accounts, there are moments I have recognized and moments I don't. Descriptions of things that happen sitting beside things that emphatically did not happen. I'm far from a perfect person, but I have never engaged in non-consensual sexual activity with anyone. Now, he does have a right to share his side of the story. And there are different ways of looking at this. So again, I'm not saying I know for sure what happened. Here is his response to the allegations that are being made. I went back to read the messages I exchanged with the women around and following the occasions that have subsequently been reported as being abusive. These messages read now as they did when I received them, of two people enjoying entirely consensual sexual relationships and wanting to see one another again. Now, I do got to say, I did see in some reports, some of those messages are put forth, and there is some truth to that statement in that them saying that it was consensual, but that's not everything. So it's kind of like there's little pieces of truth throughout from different people, from different points of view. And all we can do is try to piece it together. Also, I also realized looking through them years later that I could have and should have done so much better. I was emotionally unavailable while being sexually available, self-focused and not as thoughtful as I could or should have been. I was obviously careless with people's hearts and feelings, and that's something that I really deeply regret. It was selfish of me. I was caught up in my own story and I ignored other people's. I've spent some months now taking a long, hard look at who I have been and how I have made people feel. Like most of us, I'm learning and I'm trying to do the work needed. And I know that that's not an overnight process. I know that with the help of good people, I'll continue to grow. I understand that not everyone will believe me or even care what I have or even care what I say, but I'll be doing the work anyway for myself, my family, and the people I love. I'll be doing my very best to deserve their trust as well as the trust of my readers. At the same time, as I reflect on my past and as I re-review everything that actually happened, as opposed to what is being alleged, I don't accept there was any abuse. To repeat, I have never engaged in non-consensual sexual activity with anyone. Some of the horrible stories now being told simply never happened, while others have been so distorted from what actually took place that they bear no relationship to reality. I am prepared to take responsibility for any missteps I made. I'm not willing to turn my back on the truth, and I can't accept being described as someone I am not, and cannot and will not admit to doing things I didn't do. Neil Gaiman. So, what do you guys think? Anna says, did Neil Gaiman leave or is considering leaving Scientology? Sounds like when Paul Haggis left. Almost sounds like fair gaming to me. Neil Gaiman's been out of Scientology for a long time. He was very much a Scientologist. He did some of the operating theme levels. He has not been a Scientologist for years that I'm aware of. When I was still a Scientologist in the Twin Cities, his wife, Mary, was an executive director at the time. And in my video yesterday, I tell the whole story. So go check it out. It's the one about Neil Gaiman. But he wasn't active then. Now, he did go for some marriage counseling with Mary, but he was never active. He didn't come to the org. He didn't go to events. She would make donations in both their names, but it was questionable. Was it really him? So I don't think he's been active in Scientology for quite some time. But in my video, I raised the question of, what did Scientology know? Anyways, check out that video if you guys haven't seen it yet. All right, now I want to touch on also this other story. Ginger Duggar's cult-like upbringing left her struggling after breaking free. So you know the Duggars, they had 500,000 children. Okay, it wasn't 500,000. You know what? I've been sitting back waiting for these kids. A lot of these kids in these cults to grow up and write their books and, get their therapy. But what she's going through, the way she describes things is so similar to people who grew up Scientology and left. And again, that takes me back to cults are cults. Cults be cultin'. They tend to kind of act the same way and follow the same playbook. And this one seems to really be no different. So you remember this family with I don't even know how many kids there are, 22, 21, I don't know. I can't even begin. And they're not adopted either, right? You guys, all of these are the children that she gave birth to. Oh my goodness. So Ginger Duggar. Remember that? You guys remember, what was it? I'm just remembering it now. That video game from the 80s. Is it Dugout? I'm just remembering it now, where you play it and you go and you're digging. Dugout, it reminds me of that. Duggar. Anyways, I totally digress here. Squirrel. After Ginger Duggar, Vuolo, that must be her married name, broke free from her strict household in Arkansas. She and her husband headed to Texas, but salvation wasn't found there. So she goes and she gives some of her story after leaving, and she herself has had children. And this is a follow-up to her 2023 book, Becoming Free Indeed, which detailed what compelled her to walk away from her former church. Now, I like this. I think I would love to do this too if I can get my act together. Dig Dug. Thank you, Nancy. Dig Dug. Yeah, remember Dig Dug? Oh God, now I want to play it so bad. I should find out if my sister has it. Lana's got one of those old school arcade video game things. That's how we challenge each other in Miss Pac-Man. What I am finding interesting about this, though, is I think it is 2 books. It could be 2 books. Like, I would like to get my act together, write my book about being in Scientology and leaving, and then write my life after a cult book, because it doesn't end when you leave. That is just the first step of leaving a cult, is walking out the door and walking away. But it doesn't end there. In many ways, in my opinion, based on my experience, for me, the hard stuff is to come. Figuring out life, getting new tools. So I love that she did it this way too. And she's so young. There even could be another book in her, but she's sharing that story too. And when you read through this, I'm going to link that article down below. You see, again, the similarities to the JWs, to the Scientologists. Growing up in a cult, there seems to be some universal effects of that happen. Marcy says, oh, I heard that book, but I haven't read it. So many books, so much YouTube to watch. I know. I agree. I got to do it on Audible and maybe speed up the time. But I don't like to do that, because I feel like when I don't listen to something in real time, you miss maybe the intention or the nuances in a person's voice. But I'm like, maybe I'll speed it up just a little bit. Just depends on how fast that voice is. Jolie says, after the first year, this is the mom, not the girl who wrote the book, but the mother. She didn't care. She turned them over to an older child for that. Yeah, I mean, she did. I think if you're going to have that many kids, that's the only way you can do it. And I think there's precedent of helping to take care of siblings. But what I think, to your point, Jolie, which is an excellent point, if you can't take care of that many kids, maybe don't have that many kids, because now these kids are raising kids, which again, siblings help. I helped with my sister, but it goes too far. It goes too far. It interferes with their ability to be kids, in my opinion. And that's why I think we're going to see more and more people coming out and writing books about their families they grew up in that were cult, and what their life after a cult is like. That's what I got for y'all today. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, maybe even set your notification bells to all. If you're on the replay, I hope you jumped in those comments. I'm going to check them out. I will see you guys later. Have an amazing cult-free day.